Week 1 of the 2025 college football season was incredible. We had 3 top 10 matchups. We had 4 top 10 teams going down. Now, week 2, we're not going to get the marquee matchups that we had. I guarantee you there will not be 4 top 10 teams that lose this week. The only real ranked matchup that has a ton of sizzle to it is Michigan, Oklahoma. But still, this is an important week for the year. A lot of these teams that struggled, Clemson, Texas, Alabama, right? What will they become in week 2 of the season? Notre Dame has the bye before they get ready for a massive clash with Texas A&M in week 3, right? So I want to start talking about the Texas Longhorns. We're going to start with the teams that didn't look great, that lost, right? That have answers that need to be made very quickly. Well, they host San Jose State. They're favored by 36.5 points. I absolutely think that they get right and play a lot better. We're going to see Arch Manning throw 3 touchdowns in this game, pass for close to 250, maybe 300 yards, getting Mekhi Wingo going, getting the ball to Livingstone. The back, CJ Baxter looked very good, right? Close to 5 yards a carry against the Buckeyes. Trey Wisner, the run game was there. It was really all on Arch in terms of the inefficiency. Not great on third down. Obviously, turning the ball over 4 times on 4th down in this game. Right, that was the key to why Texas lost. First drive of the game, they're stopped on 4th down, stopped 4th and goal at the 1. They had the stop at the end of the game, of course, and then inside the 10-yard line at the 9, 4th and 3, he goes end zone, and they're not able to convert. They did make it close at the end there, but against San Jose State, I want to know more so about Arch. Can he be accurate like we saw in a couple of those games last year where he played very well and getting the ball, be accurate, step into your throws, keep your feet under you, which is not at all what we saw. He looked very uncomfortable in the pocket, uncomfortable, tough word to say, in the pocket against Ohio State. And then defensively, Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons, where were you guys against the Buckeyes? See them make some impact splash plays. I think Texas wins this football game 49-7. They come up with a big win, get things right on track. Now, Penn State, I'll go right to them before I go to some of the other teams that lost, because I want to say that Penn State looked very good. A lot of people are saying they might be better than the Buckeyes. After all that hype around Texas, it was like, oh, they're so great. And as soon as they lose, oh, they're not so great. Immediately, we saw a lot of individuals changing their opinions and say, oh, Penn State's the number 1 team in the country. The Buckeyes are 2, and then maybe Texas, Georgia, like 3 or 4. We can't be doing that. Have your opinion, stick to it. You think Texas is good, they go down, have the Buckeyes at 1, maybe drop Texas to 3, right? And then Penn State's 2. That's what makes a lot more sense instead of trashing the team that lost and taking muster out of the win. So Penn State looked good, right? Drew Aller was efficient. The defense looked great. They ran the football effectively. They stopped the run. So against Florida International, a 42.5 point spread, I would completely stay away. I always hate the numbers once they get around the 40 points. I think Texas 36.5, I should say, is fine. But I like Florida State to win this game 48-6. Believe that they get that win. So the 42.5 number is just a little bit dangerous. Are the starters even playing in the 4th quarter? But look for Drew Aller to continue opening up. See them getting the ball to Singleton early and often, establishing that rhythm with Ross, with Trevor Pena on the outside. Really important to get Kyron Hudson going more in that offense. Obviously, Zane Durant, Zakee Wheatley, great defense. Denied Dennis Sutton for Penn State, so another continuation of good play. Before we get to the Ohio State Buckeyes, I want to talk about Clemson, because Clemson really did not look right on offense. Not putting up 2 touchdowns in this game against LSU. They're favored by 32.5 against Troy, home at Death Valley. Once more, dropping a little bit in the rankings, obviously. But Cade Klubnik, let's see that 360-yard performance, 4 touchdowns. Open this thing up. Obviously, a little bit of the concern with the hamstring of Antonio Williams, one of the top 10 receivers in college football. This is what I got him as. He goes down, not able to play the rest of the game against LSU. Absolutely was a factor. But the run game, without an Etienne or Maffa, who will be the key guy? Who will Clemson get the ball to? They can rely on the yards. We know Klubnik's mobile, but he is not at all the guy that you want to give 12, 13 carries, right in the low teens of carries for a game. We want him to be in the pocket. That's why he was one of the Heisman favorites because of what he could do with the ball in his hands, passing the football to that great array of weapons. And then Peter Woods, TJ Parker, guys that are supposed to be top 10, 15 picks in the draft from that Clemson D-line. We got to see more out of you. I mean, I'm sending you a message. We got to see production, get after the quarterback, get to it, start making some plays on the defensive side of the ball because they did not do a whole lot against Nussmeier. Wasn't really under a ton of pressure throughout the night, and he didn't have to be forced into making one of his dumb turnovers like he had last year. He played a very good game. So Clemson ends up losing to LSU. We are looking for them to establish a lot more rhythm. Dabo Swinney will get his quarterback going in this game. Can they get the run game going too? We know Klubnik can sling that ball around. We know he can tote it well, run the football well himself. But what will we see out of Clemson's running game in this week 2 matchup? Very excited to see what Clemson is in week 2. Can they establish a bit more a sense of rhythm? Now let's talk about the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. They go out there and they beat Texas. They out-physical Texas. They're tougher than Texas when it matters most. 4th and goal, they get the touchdown. 4th and goal, they stop them. 4 fourth downs, they're able to stop Texas off. Now, they faced Grambling. The biggest question after that game was like, Jeremiah Smith, maybe? Like, what happened to the 2 drops in that game? But if your biggest concern is for Jeremiah Smith, probably the best player in college football, that's a champagne problem, baby, as we like to say, because that is not at all something that you need to worry about for that long. And probably very soon, you'll see number 4 making a big splash play. Now, for Ohio State, Ryan Day, it's getting your quarterback comfortable in the pocket. Allow him to make throws on the outside of the numbers, right? Throwing from the pocket, throwing from the run, get him on the move, allow it. You could throw 2 picks, turn the ball over 3 times, and obviously still beat Grambling in this game. So I'd go out there and say, throw an interception, Julian. Throw the football in the middle of the field like you weren't doing last week. It comes out high. We heard a lot of the analysis about coming out of this game. We don't want any interceptions, turnovers, because the guy that turns it over in the Texas-Ohio State matchup will lose. And we saw Texas turn it over on downs a number of times and arch with that poor pick that Jermaine Matthews picked off, who now looks like him and Igbinosin are in a battle for who's the best corner. Some great competition. But for Ohio State, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, this is the most athletic and dynamic we have seen 2 linebackers. Simon and Styles were great, but Sonny Styles is a year older, and as much as you love Cody Simon, 4th round pick to the Arizona Cardinals, Arvell Reese, this guy can line up at edge. He can be lining up right at the A-gap and rush, good in coverage. We saw him on like that coffee house blitz. He turns the other direction and then comes on the blitz, comes up with the only sack of the game for Ohio State, getting Arch Manning on the ground. Looked phenomenal. The offensive line with 4 new starters without their first-round offensive linemen, Jackson and Simmons. O-line looks very well. Got to run the ball better. Get Peoples going. Get C.J. Donaldson going. Got to be rushing over 100 yards and close to 5 yards a carry against Grambling in this game. So Ohio State, right, they're coming off that big win, best team in the country at this point. They got the ranking to stand by it. So can we see Julian Sayin operate the offense with a lot of the confidence he had week 1, but opening this thing up, getting JJ going, getting Carnell Tate going, Max Clare when you need him on 3rd down, or being more effective, getting him the football. So that is really what you're looking for out of Ohio State. I got the Buckeyes coming away with a win in this one, putting up over 50 points, like 51-6, 51-7, something along those lines, with the defense playing well. I mean, we'll talk about Caleb Downs just for a second here. He ends the game, flash in the backfield, open field tackles like we've seen, erasing all the mistakes in front of him, playing outside corner, nickel corner, middle of the field, center field safety, coming up in that Tampa 2 hybrid linebacker. I mean, he played every position there basically is except for nose tackle in this game. He looked like one of the best player in college football, frankly, with some of the struggles from Jeremiah Smith this week. So Caleb Downs showing everybody why he will be a top 5 pick come the NFL draft in 2026 this April. Now moving along a little bit to Georgia, week 2, expect more of Gunnar Stockton, right? Being able to operate the offense, 2 touchdowns, ran the ball. He was their leading rusher for 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, the most rushing yards in like 10, 20 years for Georgia week 1, over 200 yards rushing. So against Austin, PA, expect a lot more of that. That Georgia keeps it on the ground. They're effective because I believe that will be their identity a lot more this year. They've got the receivers, right? Zachariah Branch. That they have a bit more talent there. You've got faith in Dylan Bell, that they have the receiving core to be good. But this is a Georgia team, again, they want to establish that brand of physicality. They won the SEC last year in a down year, right? So establishing that brand of physicality, punching you in the mouth every single time. Let's talk about the Oregon Ducks, because Dante Moore operated the offense very well. A lot of talk about him, what he could be this year, showing it, 3 touchdowns in week 1. Oregon favored 28.5 against Oklahoma State. I believe they can cover. I see them winning this game 41-10. Oregon's offense operates well. No Evan Stewart again. I'm going to continue to bring that up because that type of impact player, so good for the Ducks last year, transferring over to Corian Moore. Get him going. Look for Corian Moore to have more touches in this game. Mateo Uyunglele, 2 sacks in week 1. Think that he can get another 2 TFLs in this game against Oklahoma State, setting a tone that he is probably the best pass rusher that the Big Ten has to offer. That kid was unbelievable last year, double-digit sacks, and already a very quick start. So Oregon, Oklahoma State, expecting Oregon to pull that one out. I want to go to Miami because their game against Notre Dame was, yeah, we could say it. That was the best game of the college football season so far. Phenomenal performance from Notre Dame, battling back, right? They were down the big. They fought back, down 14. They get the touchdown, then Miami gets the field goal up 10. They battle back. They find a way to keep the game close, tie it late. Carson Beck leads his team down the field. So Miami, Carson Beck come out the win 27-24, their biggest win in years, established themselves as an absolute contender in the ACC, a contender to make the college football playoff. That defensive line, Ruben Bain, holy cow, did they look improved on that side of the ball. One explosive play that they gave up, but Miami against Bethune-Cookman, I really think that they'll be able to come out with the win. I got Miami dropping a 50 bomb, 52 points, 52-3 is what I have in this game. That Miami defense continues to play very well at an elite level. I mean, they're not going to run the ball as well as Notre Dame can. I know you held that spectacular run offense, Jadarian Price, Jeremiah Love, to not great performances. They did not establish the run whatsoever. Miami doing a great job stopping what I think is the best backfield in college football right there with Katron Allen and Singleton for the Penn State Nittany Lions. So Miami with a very big win. South Carolina State and South Carolina. I like South Carolina to win this one big. A lot of big wins for a lot of teams around that are ranked in college football this week and ranked pretty well. Lenore Sellers looked really good. Some inconsistencies, struggles in the pocket, missed some open throws, missed guys. But Nick Harbor and Lenore Sellers, that could be the best connection, even rivaling Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams obviously got a little bit banged up last week. We got to see what his health is like going forward. But Sellers with that bomb to Nick Harbor, 1 touchdown called back from Nick Harbor earlier in that game. Nick Harbor, Lenore Sellers, really, truly establishing a connection. Then Dylan Stewart against South Carolina State. Holy cow. Just look out. He could have 2.5, 3 sacks. Played pretty well against Virginia Tech, but was like this close to having more. Obviously had a sack, getting to the quarterback, Kyron Jones, early and often. Had like 6 pressures against Virginia Tech. So South Carolina State, that is a tough task on the road in this week 2 game. Now, Kansas State, they had an absolute down-to-the-wire game. Avery Johnson being able to lead them down the field for the touchdown. I want to talk about this, even though that they dropped, obviously, severely in the rankings, a good amount. But against Army, because Army was a team a lot of people were very high on, that they were thinking that Army can be good. Obviously, when you had this game isn't sort of marquee, but Coleman, 2 interceptions. Johnson's had some struggles, like that defense has looked good. Toby Osunsami, 3 tackles so far on the year. I think that this is a better game than people think, but I do have Kansas State winning it 31-13 in a bit of an underrated game for week 2 in the college football season. Let's talk about Illinois and Duke, because Illinois is on the road taking on Darian Mensah and the Duke Blue Devils. And Luke Altmaier looked great last week, 17-21, 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards passing. The defense looked great. Gabe Lucas, it's like the guys you talk about all offseason. Gabe Lucas has 2 sacks. Mensah looked very good, though, 3 touchdowns in that winning effort. I have Illinois winning this game, although currently Duke has a higher chance to win at 51%, according to ESPN Analytics, but Illinois favored by 2.5. I believe that they cover and win this game 24-17. I think that they can hold on for a win, that they have the ability to maybe even stretch that lead a little bit more. So I think this is a 2-score game and Duke actually scores late, that it's not quite as close as the score. Eden Lowry, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing. That's exactly what you wanted to see from Illinois. Still trying to find who's going to be that wide receiver. I think that Beatty had a very good game, 108 yards. But Illinois fighting Illini with a very nice looking matchup there in the afternoon or morning, depends on where you are located, for Illinois and Duke. A&M, Marcel Reed, right? They're favored by 29.5 points against Utah State. I think they can hold on and beat them for sure. That they can drop 46 points against Utah State and beat them 46-10. Marcel Reed looked very good. 4 touchdowns, close to 300 yards. Craver with 122, 2 touchdowns, looked like one of the best wide receivers in college football. Now let's talk about Arizona State, because Arizona State plays at Mississippi State, a later game. Right, Davis Wade Stadium. Jordan Tyson just going off. 2 touchdowns in week 1, 141 yards, 12 receptions. They are forcing him the ball, and rightly so. Him and Sam Levitt looked terrific together. That connection is back. Top 5 wide receiver, I think, easily in college football. He has a great game. Expect a lot more of that. I think he goes for 11 catches, 134, and a touchdown in this game. I got Arizona State winning this one big, 44-7, that they come up with a big win. They continue to establish themselves as knocking on that door, being a top 10 team in college football. Now, let's talk about it. The Michigan Wolverines and Oklahoma Sooners. The game everybody has been waiting for me to talk about. Oklahoma is favored by 2.5. The spread is 46.5. You got to go under that spread. 46.5. I think that Oklahoma wins this game 23-20. Bryce Underwood shows the country that he is for real as a talent, but not quite there yet. I do see a turnover. I see John Mateer, 392 yards, 3 tubs, did have that turnover, having a great game, but turning the ball over. It's huge because one of Michigan's best players, right? He had a great play earlier in that game. It was really tough that they had that call. That was absurd that we had that call on targeting. I just can't understand that call still. So without him for this game against Oklahoma. But I think that Justice Haynes, played great in week 1. 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. So they play Oklahoma. This is a great matchup. Mateer, his athleticism, pocket ability, that new core of wide receivers. We saw Blaylock with a touchdown, with carrying the football. We saw Lewis with 2 touchdowns receiving, 9 receptions. He played great. Klein looks like a great tight end there for the Wolverines, being these 2 targets. Lewis and Klein, are these the top 2 targets for Michigan and Oklahoma going forward? What I'm looking at, though, is that defensive line for Michigan going up against Oklahoma. His John Mateer is the key player in this thing, the at-home quarterback. How does he perform? Oklahoma offense was pitiful last year, and so how they produce. And then Bryce Underwood, right? His ability. How does he play in this big matchup on the road at Norman? Obviously, the only ranked matchup of week 2, where we see 2 good ranked teams squaring off, going head to head. But Michigan, Bryce Underwood, this is an opportunity to show that, yeah, we're a CFP contender, that we can knock off Oklahoma on the road, that double-digit wins seems realistic. If you get 10 wins in the Big Ten, you're a college football playoff team. I don't care who your 2 losses are going to be against. So Bryce Underwood and that Michigan squad going into Oklahoma. Last thing I want to say is Sherrone Moore versus Brent Venables. Sherrone Moore is obviously that championship as the as the offensive coordinator a couple years ago, a little bit more negative talk than you would think would be around Michigan this offseason. So it's a great chance to be like, yeah, I'm the guy here for the next 5 years, 10 years for the Wolverines. If he has a great year with Underwood. Kid's just a freshman. He's got 2 more years after this. So we'll see how he looks and where he really is at going up against a top 10 defense who I have in the Oklahoma Sooners. And then Brent Venables, they need this one. 9-3 for Oklahoma will get them into the playoff. This could be one of those losses, but with their schedule and who they play later on in the season, like Texas, Red River, at South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, LSU, you can't lose to Michigan. I think if they lose to Michigan, their CFP hopes are squashed, whereas Michigan could lose to Oklahoma, but still get stronger at the end of the season, similar to last year. They beat Ohio State and Bama at the end of the year. They've made it a habit of beating those two teams. But Oklahoma, with that SEC schedule, you can almost immediately put 2 losses on there. I almost see 3 with that run of Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, Missouri, LSU. I see 3 losses out of that, even if Oklahoma is great. So what does it come down to? A game like this could be their season. It really could, because if you go 4-3 in that stretch and you win your others, Auburn looks a little bit tougher even against Jackson Arnold and that squad, the way they looked against Baylor. So Oklahoma, and I think a do-or-die game. I know it's week 2, but I believe when we think the season's all said and done, that this will be a game that puts them in a spot where they could be talked about with the committee highly, with a 9-3 record, with a shot to make the college football playoff if they beat Michigan, and I think they do 23-20. So this wraps up a majority of the ranked teams playing in week 2 of college football this year. What a week 1 slate of games that we had. Obviously not quite what that was, but still a number of very good teams with seemingly easy wins. But will there be some chaos? Do we see someone come up, pull off an upset, or take some of these squads to the wire? So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching this video. A lot of fun to make going into week 2. Highly anticipated Michigan, Oklahoma, and then a lot of these quarterbacks. Arch Manning, Cade Klubnik, CJ Carr is obviously not playing in this week. They get highly needed rest. So week 3, we'll talk about Marcel Reed and Carr squaring off in that week 3 Notre Dame versus A&M matchup. So I appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe for more football content going forward here, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.